He was a terrible mayor. I don't give a shit if this is comedy or not. He was a terrible mayor. He did a horrible job. That's not comedy, by the way, that's fact. But unlike the rest of New York, at least Bill doesn't have to worry about the criminals. They owe him big. He let them get away with a lot of stuff.
Okay, now, forget about the truth of the matter asserted. The thing to look at that goes back to what I was talking about before, the faces of the people around him, okay? The faces of the people around him, Republican or Democrat, they reject his tone. They reject that demeanor. They reject that kind of ad hominem, the attack on a person. But that's because they're part of a culture, arguably a system of fugazi decorum with one another that many people are rejecting. And as ugly as Trump may come across with his comments, it is a rejection of what they hate more than Trump's behavior. You got to know the psychology to understand the pragmatism of the process we're in. Now, the object of Trump's affection was the former mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, okay? I asked him to come on, and when I say I, of course, I meant Dusty, because I know Bill. I grew up around the mayor. I've literally known him almost all of my life. He's always been much taller than me, but I was much more shorter when we met. He is now, you see the mayor on the screen, is in Michigan campaigning for Harris. So I really appreciate it. It's like a twofer. And I'll be honest, I wanted to give you a chance to use the audience to go back at what he was saying and what you think he represents in this race.
Chris, we have known each other forever. And, your analysis, I was listening to it. I see a lot in what you're saying, but I also think you're talking about a dinner for the Archdiocese of New York, for charity for children, a place that is supposed to be about Christian values. And for all those years when both candidates showed up, in fact, most candidates did an incredible job of making fun of themselves and giving us a sense it doesn't always have to be vicious. There can be some respect. And Donald Trump is the only one in history who doesn't understand that. So I hear your point. If he's fighting the system, he's the rebel. I get that. And I think there's a lot of things broken with our status quo. But I'll tell you what I don't accept. You don't go into a Christian event and curse and swear and talk negatively about a number of people. He can say whatever he wants about me. I'm used to it. I'm a New Yorker. I can take it. But who does that? If we're trying to set a tone in this country where maybe
he does not want to set that tone. He does not want to set that tone, Bill.
He doesn't.
You want to set that tone.
No,
he does not
Chris,
want to set that tone because his voters don't want him to set that tone.
But Chris, I'm going to argue this point. I bet you might agree with me.
Please.
The everyday American, I've been crisscrossing this country for years. The everyday American does not want conflict. They want to get along with their neighbor. They want to go to Little League. They want to, be involved in their community. They go to their house of worship. They don't have to love each other, agree on everything, but they want to get along. And it's no surprise that Donald Trump has lost the popular vote overwhelmingly twice. And I think it's about to happen again. So, again, I'm never surprised by anything he does. But what I want to say to you is, I think he went into a place where he had a chance for once to show some respect to the people around him. It's just not who he is. It's not something he'll ever do.
Yeah, that you just answered your own question. I mean, look, Bill, if it were you who had done it, I would come at you like ugly on an ape, mainly because I just respect where we're both from and how I know you are capable of being. So I would have attacked you because I know you know better and you believe in better, right? I mean, you were raised Catholic, So he doesn't. He doesn't give a damn about Catholics, and he knows what gets him what he is. And by the way, he's one of the luckiest guys in the history of the game that either of us have seen. Every one of his personal flaws works for what he's trying to do right now, which is to basically be the raging agent of people's discontent with legitimate things. And that's not easy for Harris to overcome.
here's where your analysis in the beginning, I think, was really insightful. And I've been saying to a lot of people, pay attention to why people are pissed off about the status quo in this country, because they have a right to be pissed off. But I'll tell you something else. This election will be decided by women. And talk about pissed off, and I see this all over Michigan. Women just had their rights taken away. And by the way, talk to Republican women. You'd be shocked, Chris, how many Republican women, how many independent women normally wouldn't think in a million years of voting for a Democrat. But they're pissed off at the status quo where something was taken from them, and they're angry at the guy who did it. And they vote.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most powerful issues I've seen. Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.